All right, ladies and gents, welcome back. Here we are with another old school podcast. This one actually was a really fun one. I remember when we recorded this was back in January of 2019. And on this one is Majin Obama, all-around figure in the world of fighting games. He's a commentator, he's a streamer, YouTuber, player, all sorts of stuff. But yeah, Obama's a cool dude. This was back when we talked to him, and why did I say we? I talked to him, and yeah, this was a fun episode. This was back when I was still doing the YouTube stuff hardcore with the FGC. And I remember with this one, actually, it was actually pretty funny because I believe I scheduled a podcast for like 2 a.m. my time. So it's more convenient for him since he lives in Japan. And it was like 4 o'clock by the time we finished talking. The podcast was probably like an hour and change, but I think we talked for like 2 hours. So it was actually pretty fun. And yeah, we talk about all sorts of things like how he got to Japan and what he thinks about the fighting game scene. Now, granted, this is 2019, so this is pre-pandemic, pre-Strive, pre a lot of things, right? So very different time, but still you can take some things out of this podcast that are still very valuable in my opinion. And yeah, it was all around just a fun conversation to have. So hopefully you enjoy this one. Oh yeah, a small little disclaimer. The audio on my end is much lower than Obama's audio. That was back when I didn't really know much about audio. Not that I do now, but unfortunately I couldn't do much about it because it's all one track. I tried to bump me up a little bit, but it just is what it is. Anyway, I only have a couple more of these old school podcasts before we start RTO, which is Ride to Orbis for the uninformed. But yeah, until the next one, I will see y'all later. Enjoy. So I figured I've spoken about you before on the podcast when I did. I actually spoken about list of commentators, and I kind of what I had like analytical commentators versus color. So I put you on that list, and I actually had you really high. So I've spoken about you before. So my audience knows you a little bit, but in case they don't, I figured if you want to give like a self-introduction of who you are, what you do, and kind of what brought you to the FGC and all that.
My name is, I guess the name I go by now is Majin Obama. I actually had a couple names before this, but maybe most people know me as Majin Obama. I'm a fighting game player originally from the Louisiana scene, actually. And I moved to Japan in 2012, and I've been here since. I've played a variety of titles over the years, but probably most of you know me for my commentary in recent years. Yeah, I guess that's it. And that's pretty much it.
Cool. What brought you to Japan?
I'm a weeb, dude. Just wanted to go to Japan. That's pretty much. Wanted to go to Japan. Wanted to play fighting games more. That's pretty much it.
I understand that. Well, cool. Like I said before we even started recording, like I said, I have a list here of questions, but for the most part, if you got anything to ramble on, you got anything to say, you can let loose. I mean, I don't have any real structure, but.
I'm sure you'll get a lot of that.
Okay, hey, that's fine. I like that.
I tend to do that.
Yeah, my audience knows I ramble a lot when I do like the monologue podcast, so they know to hold that because I never edit any of this shit. So, and if you need to swear, you can swear because my podcast is not PG or PC or all that. So,
well, lucky for you, I gave up curse words in 2018. I stopped saying the N word. 2019, I'm gonna stop saying curse words too.
Oh, there we go. There you go. All right, I saw that.
I'm not off to a good start, admittedly, but I'm trying.
I lurk in the stream. I see it. Well, good shit. So just to get us started, I just obviously when I've spoken about you before, had to do with commentating, and I just wanted to ask you how'd you get into commentating? Like, what's the backstory there? Because I know a lot of people they're kind of just thrust into the scene, right? They're just like, hey, you there, just get on the mic or whatever. So I was wondering what exactly got you to commentating fighting games.
Yeah, the experience that you describe, I think, describes for a lot of people, right? If they get a chance to. Mm-hmm. And that was the case with me, too. I think I had a few stints, like early Street Fighter, maybe early Super Street Fighter 4. We actually used to run an event in Louisiana. Mm-hmm. Tried it a couple times there. But I didn't think anything of it, It pretty much, and I still feel this way. If you're not in New York or Los Angeles, it doesn't really matter, right? You don't really think about doing that too much, in my opinion, for most people. I didn't really do it again until maybe a few years ago in maybe like 2015, I think. 2015, 2016, something like that.
Okay.
And it was for Guilty Gear. And originally, had how did I get into commentating? Dude, I didn't even plan on doing the commentary. What I was originally doing was I was setting up showcase matches at Mikado for Guilty Gear.
Mm-hmm.
And I was trying to just like I wanted to do like sets. Like there's a lot of content that's they just stream matches nonstop, or they stream like a small like 3v3 tournament or a one man tournament, but it's single elim, stuff like that.
Right.
But it's not like, to me, I think the most fun stuff to watch is like sets between players. Like I wanted to fill that gap a little bit. I was like, man, I'm gonna set up some sets just between top players. I just want to watch some sets just because especially like as a player, I just wanted to watch sets.
Yeah, of course.
So when I was setting those up initially, actually, I set them up, and I was just gonna have Jiyun do commentary. I wasn't really interested in doing that or anything.
Mm-hmm. But
then around the same time, he got the Beast TV assignment, so he couldn't do commentary for it anymore. And even though there's levels to that, right? Like Beast TV program, that's been a huge that show is a way bigger deal than I think most people give it credit for. I mean, long story short, he wasn't able to do it, so I was like, well, shit, I guess I'll do it.
Mm-hmm.
And then pretty much I started.
Nice.
Yeah.
I know that's the backstory for a lot of people like that. Now, do you feel like you have a pretty good knack for commentating? Because that's what when I described you as a commentator, I felt that what you bring to the table a lot of times I feel that is lost with a lot of people when they listen. They kind of take it for granted. But when I listen to commentary, I find it's super interesting when the commentator knows the history of the players and can give us a little bit of backstory, and instead of just pointing out things that are happening on screen, it provides a little more to the match, and it kind of gives you more of an emotional involvement if you know where the player's from or what's his history with this player. I mean, has he been free against this guy, and is he trying to get revenge or stuff like that? So I find that when you commentate, especially Guilty Gear, I know that, and even the other games you commentate, I know you do some Dragon Ball, you do Tekken, and you do pretty much everything. There's a little more spice there, and I felt that we don't see that a lot in commentators, at least in the FGC, and I feel it's super important when you kind of put that personalization into commentary. Do you feel like that's something that you're good at?
Whether I'm good at it or not, I'm not sure. That's up to people who listen.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, I guess I'll answer this in two ways. So the first way is fundamentally with commentary. I think the biggest thing is whoever you are, whatever you're talking over, and it could be Mortal Kombat, it could be Tekken, it could be Fortnite. I mean, I hope it's not Fortnite, but it could be Fortnite. It could be swimming. Like, it doesn't matter.
True.
Whatever you're talking over, the question that you have to come back and ask yourself is, am I adding anything to what is on screen? Does whatever I'm saying contribute something to the content that someone is going to be watching? There's lots of ways to do that. You can do it through humor, entertainment. There's lots of people that are really funny. You can do it through analysis, like you said. You can do it through play-by-play, entertaining or engaging play-by-play. You can do it through a lot of ways. Something that I think was really missing from a lot of our game when I listened to our commentary, and it was especially weird to me because I saw so many opportunities. I mean, the thing with me is, and I wasn't always this way. But the thing with me was, after a certain period of time of playing fighting games, like around the mid 2000s,
mm-hmm.
I was actually kind of like, I didn't look around very much. I didn't pay attention to that many other scenes like that. I kind of just played whatever I played. I played a variety, but whatever I was concentrated on at that time. Because my concentration between different games would switch, right?
Right.
But I was never like looking completely around, like what's going on with all these different scenes at the same time, until maybe around like a little bit after I had been playing, and I was like, holy shit, man! Like there's so many different, and a lot of it came from just honestly watching old Evo DVDs and watching old SBO DVDs, man. Whenever they came out in the mid 2000s, it was always really exciting because you would get so much tournament footage, so much, and even so, for example, like the old SBO DVDs, right?
Yeah.
Whenever they would come out those years, it's like I would get them, I would watch it, I would be like, you know what? I'm really playing Third Strike right now. I want to see what happened against SBO and Third Strike, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the way they would package those DVDs would have Third Strike, Virtua Fighter, and some other game on there, or like usually 2 or 3 titles. So you get it for the Third Strike, right? At first. But then you're like, well, like that. Damn, that Third Strike tournament was really good. I guess I watched the Tekken too. Why not? And you're like, damn, this is hype. You're like, like I'm not even playing this game. I don't even play this game. But like, man, it's hype. I don't know what they're saying, but he sounds excited. and oh shit, actually, oh my god, this guy was in he was in Third Strike top 8 a couple years ago. You start to see some of the same faces over and over again. You're like, holy shit, this dude's playing everything. Like what is Nuki doing in the Virtua Fighter Grand Finals? Like what? Well, he does all this. It occurred to me really early on, like the stuff is way deeper than I think a lot of people give it credit for. Even before I came to Japan, I knew that. When I came to Japan, my eyes were just, super opened. But I think that that's something that the older heads in the community used to do a lot more than I think the modern community does. And I don't know what the reasons for that are. Maybe movement from forums onto like Facebook and Twitter maybe has compartmentalized the scene a little bit more. Post Street Fighter 4, I definitely get that sentiment a lot more than I did like mid 2000s anyway. I'm not saying those divisions weren't always there, but they feel more pronounced now, in my humble opinion. But the reason why I describe that is because to me, what was missing from a lot of communities in sub-communities in the fighting game community in commentary, what was missing from a lot of the commentary for me that I could hear in some of these other titles, whenever they would present themselves, was narrative.
Right.
Yipes said something a few years ago when Marvel, I think it was when they made Marvel 3 the donation game that year.
Okay.
So they were trying to, Marvel 3 scene is like trying to rally together, get them right. Mm-hmm. He said something that I still think about pretty often. He said, and talking about Marvel, now disclaimer, I wouldn't be here without Marvel 2, right? Mm-hmm. I think many people in North America that's fair to say. I would not be here without Marvel 2. But he said something that I questioned. And especially at the time, I was like, what he said was, when it comes to, and he's speaking about Marvel, he said, no one has our stories. Let me ask you, what do you think about that? No one has our stories. You agree, disagree? What do you think?
I would disagree. The only reason I would disagree is because I don't know who else has stories. So I mean,
exactly.
I don't know like the Japanese Guilty Gear scene. If I'm playing Marvel 2, I don't know. I can't say that.
That's the point. Marvel 2, of course, is like insane, right? Like the narratives, East Coast, West Coast stuff, the money matches, all this stuff. But the difference is that's A, well chronicled. B, you had people to tell those stories. C, they had the platform to tell those stories.
Right.
Not all these other games have necessarily had that in English or, in any language for that matter. Not especially with some of these games that are based in arcades as well, right? Mm-hmm. Maybe they weren't so popular in the West, but maybe here, the arcade is a jungle, survival of the fittest, right? Yeah. Isn't it like a little bit conceited almost to think maybe, like surely no one has our story? You don't know that. No, but that's the point. Like those games, for a lot of games, they never had that opportunity or that stage or those people who knew the stories to tell them. Mm-hmm. And that's something that I thought a lot about when, I guess, as I started to do more and more commentary, especially just like for Guilty Gear initially, because it's a legacy arcade title, right? And if you're a game scene that's had 16, 17 years of competition, there's bound to be some meat there.
Yeah, of course.
You know what I mean? But do I feel like I do that well? I hope I do. When I try, I hope I do. And hopefully other people have taken notice, and I think so. Other people have tried to incorporate a little bit of that when they talk about these games as well. And it's important because there are a lot of opportunities, especially with games like, even Dragon Ball, right? Mm-hmm. This past year, I can remember like the first Big E tournament, and people were doing commentary for the game, and they're like, "Who is Go 1?" I'm like, "What? Like, how do you not know who this is?" Like this is just as and it's not like to shine on anybody, but my point is
they don't play DFC.
Well, it's not even about just they don't play DFC. It's why don't more people have their heads on a swivel like that? Why aren't more people looking around? It's something that I think it's a nuance that I think has kind of been it's diminished in the community, and it's kind of weird.
Do you think we've ever had that, or is that something that FGC has?
Maybe it's maybe it's an illusion that I have, but I feel like it's like I said, I feel like those divisions and that kind of like tunnel vision sense Maybe it's always been there, but it feels more pronounced to me. Maybe I'm wrong. Right? Maybe that's just a placebo or something. I don't know. But to me now, it feels more pronounced, and that's kind of weird.
Yeah, I guess I never really thought of that. I think it's
maybe,
there,
and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong, right? Maybe I'm wrong, but it just, to me, it feels that way.
Yeah, I think there is definitely. I mean, I'm not gonna front and say like I'm in hella OG, but I've been around the scene for maybe like I don't know, 9 years. I'm not exactly an 09er, but pretty close. And I didn't start with Street Fighter 4. I actually
that's fine. First, I'm gonna tell you something right now. First of all, like there's a lot of misused terms in the community.
Right.
OG is definitely one of them. OG and dead. If I could ban those two words, I would. And I'll tell you why. Because I'm not an OG. I know that because I talked to real OG. That's the best. So I came up in the Middle Ages, like the quote unquote. These you often hear the term Dark Ages, right?
Yeah.
Like 06, around then when I graduated high school, that's when I really started to get into it. Like I think I remember my first SRK account at that time, stuff like that. Around that time period, people that started playing these games seriously around that time frame have really interesting perspective, and I'll tell you why. Because you know actual jaded OGs, and you get to talk to them on a regular basis, and you get their input. But then you also are close enough to the new people that came up around the 09 era, and you also get their their fresh takes on some stuff. It's really interesting. You kind of get you get to see the gulf, I guess, right?
Right.
Yeah, but I mean, like that's fine, right? So even if I'm not. I know too many actual OGs to like ever consider claiming that, right?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I started like around. I guess I fully invested around 2010. I'm predominantly a Tekken player. I played I caught the tail. I played a little DR and I played the tail end of 6, and I hated Tag 2. I skipped that game, and I actually the game that I invested the most when I started really investing into fighting games was actually Persona 4 Arena Vanilla, and then Ultimate after that. So the segregation I felt was more so. I mean, when I told people, I was like, yeah, I like fighting game. I play Vanilla Persona, or I play Ultimax, and they were like, wait, you don't play 4? I was like, basically telling me like, get the fuck out of here. It's like 4 is what you got to be into, and I feel. I mean, now it's a little bit different because you got. It's right now. I feel we'll get to this later, but I feel we're in a weird spot in the FGC where we got some games out there that will make make the segregation perhaps a little more clearer than maybe it was in the past. But then again, I don't know. Like I said, I haven't been here for that long. I'm just giving like my opinion on that stuff. But
well, I mean, one thing that I contribute to that, and again, I'm sure like this always existed. It always did to a degree. Mm-hmm. But I think maybe you were less inclined to in the past, especially during the arcade era, because just naturally, I'll tell you, just like from my experiences in arcade, and I'm talking about in America, by the way.
Yeah.
So you go there to play Third Strike, right? Or let's say you go to play Marvel. You go to play Marvel, but there's like 30 people there. You lose once, you're gonna have to wait like 30 something minutes to put before your coin ends up in line to get to be able to play again, right?
Mm-hmm.
The old way of doing things was like while you were waiting for your turn. I mean, the next game, a different scene was literally right next.
Right.
You're right next to a Virtua Fighter cab. You're right next to a Tekken cab. You're right next to a Third Strike cab. You're right next to a CVS2 cab. While you're waiting, just play something else. Like, and it was just that easy, right? Like, just you being able to cross streams like that was literally just a step away.
True.
Literally a step away. Now, in this post-arcade era, that's not really the case, right? It's a little bit different. Maybe at locals, it's not necessarily one step. Maybe it's a few steps, which of course gets a little bit hard to be able to drag people away, especially now with stuff being so online based, right?
Yeah.
There is no step now. Now it's not even a forum anymore. It's not even a thread anymore. And now it's literally like you have to go seek out a Discord. You have to go do this. You have to go do that. You gotta buy the game first. Mm-hmm. It's there's naturally more steps. I think that's one thing that naturally contributed to more inner community like compartmentalization, separation, mm-hmm. segregation. I don't know how to describe it.
Yeah,
but it feels like I said. I think it always existed. It always existed. There's definitely been elitism and stuff like that for a long time. but it feels accentuated now. I don't know. Post SF4, I definitely know what you're talking about. Post SF4 for sure. That was definitely a thing.
And I mean, I loved Street Fighter 4. I didn't play. I mean, I might have like 20 hours lifetime in that game, but I loved watching it. I thought the skill in that game, watching it at a high level, was really satisfying to watch. I really enjoyed that game. But I mean, I didn't play it, and I didn't really care to play it. Nor do I really have much cachet with Street Fighter as a franchise. I mean, it's fine. I like it just fine. But I really enjoyed Persona during that time. That's why I kind of made it my game. But
you know what, man? I played a lot of SF4. I'm not gonna lie. Mm-hmm. I can't say I actually. I don't know if I want to say I played it because there was one person I never beat and I feel really bad about. But I'll tell you what, I'll beat your ass in Street Fighter 4, dude. F that, man. If anybody want to play that game, I'll run that shit.
All right.
And the best part is, I don't even necessarily. You know what? I don't know what kind of games I like, to be honest. I play every. If you play a lot of fighting games, dude, to me they're all bullshit. I think SF4 is trash, but I played a lot of SF4, man. I played a lot.
Yeah,
I beat a lot of ass in that game. But then I was like, man, I don't even like this game. Like,
yeah. Well, if you play anything enough, I think you're gonna find some cheese in it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, for sure. Like but that's part of the playing experience that I think a lot of people miss too. Like, you hear a lot of people. Never mind. That's a different tangent. What were you saying before?
Honestly, I forgot. I'm not good at keeping my trail of thought. So go ahead, whatever you're gonna say.
Yeah, dude. I ramble way too much, man.
Oh, you're good. Hey, we're in the same boat, man. It's no biggie. Yeah, that's basically. I mean, we'll get to that here because I do have a bullet point as far as like the FGC as far as which eras, but I guess last thing to I guess reel it back to the whole commentating thing. Finish on this. Do you have any like favorite partners as far as commentating with? Because I know I think I watched I forgot who it was. I'm sorry, I'm not giving anybody credit for this, but I watched somebody say how it's difficult to sometimes mesh with different commentators because you don't know what role they're going to be in. So you don't know if you're kind of going to be the hype man, if you're going to basically be a solo guy with one guy kind of mumbling around. So
I'll tell you what, that description is kind of what I feel. But I think the real challenge is this, and this is even with the best people. Favorite? I don't like the question of like favorite partner, because to me, my favorite is if you're sitting down and you're into it, especially if you're drunk or something, man. Like let's fucking go, dude. But everyone's my favorite in that case. But what I think is difficult is this, and this is the struggle. And this is one, and there's a point I'll add on this. It's just like my personal preference, right?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
But my thing is this: the difficult thing is, and the reason why someone would say that, it's difficult because they don't know what this person is, right? What they're trying to describe is this: in order for commentary to sound good, you have to have one person that understands their partner, the other person. Right. They have to understand, first of all, their speaking tempo, what points they're going to look for to talk about, how they're going to talk about it, how they're going to elaborate on it, how long they're going to speak for when they speak. All these things that you get a feel for. It's a lot like playing the game, to be honest. That sounds weird, but it's a lot like playing.
Mm-hmm. It's like a dance almost. Right?
And this, yeah, dude, pretty much. So, and there's parallels to it, and look, there's also preferences amongst even commentators like that too. I talk with Sajam a lot recently. So, like, just for example, I'm sure some people love, like, did you watch Summit? Did you watch it?
I watched a little bit of it. I'm honestly the first time I actually dedicated time to Dragon Ball FighterZ, I was actually watching you stream the finals, and I was lurking in there for about 14 hours. That was really the only time I actually sunk some time into Dragon Ball FighterZ. I'll tell you what, playing it that one time.
It looked like a lot of fun, man. I got really sleepy towards it. But spoiler, the end of Summit, they have 6 people on the mic. They got like Tasty Jam, they got Yipes Matrix, and they got like Hell Pockets and like someone.
Is that when they're on the couch?
Like, yeah.
Okay.
Well, they're on like 3 sofas, dude. Like 2 sofas and like two stools.
Okay.
So that, like, when I look at that, I'm like, dude, that's nuts. That's crazy, because it's so hard for me to even get one person's tempo. It shows too. When you listen to it, you can tell when 2 people like really get each other.
Yeah.
But then when you add more people to that mix, it becomes more and more difficult. You now not only have to get this one person's tempo, you have to get this person's tempo too. You have to get a sense for what this person wants to talk about, what this person's going to do, how predictable or unpredictable that the speaking patterns are going to be for this person as well as this person. The more people you add into that mix, the more and more that it becomes insanely difficult. That's why whenever they pull off like the 4-man stuff, or even like they did like the Red Bull event last year, the 4-man stuff for the strong style, or even Tekken LCQs, I thought was really pretty well done actually. But that's hard, dude. That's not easy. And it's definitely not preferred for me. That's what something that you have to think about is you have to understand your partner too. You have to understand yourself. You have to understand your partner. So it's a lot like playing the game. It's really weird to describe, but that's how I feel about it.
No, for sure. I definitely can see like a rhythm there. There's actually there's a tandem that I really like watching. Obviously, NLBC is East Coast, but I don't know how many people actually talk about this because I don't know how many people actually watch the locals for stuff like that anymore. But actually, Lee Chung and Yipes, I really love the way they operate together. I think it's like a really fun, like back and forth because they never step on each other. And that's something that I really enjoy when you watch commentary. It's natural, it's flowy. It doesn't really matter the game. It's more about
just another iteration of highly entertaining East Coast commentary teams, right?
Yep. Yeah. It's I mean, and everybody has their personal, who they like listening to. But I feel like commentary is like super important in fighting games because whether you know the game or you don't know the game, the engagement that you get from the guy on the mic is really helpful, especially for like newer people. I know I've introduced fighting games to a few of my friends that have been more into shooters traditionally, and they've I think commentary has been a big role in why they stuck around. There's a lot of people that will play for like, all right, I'll play this game for a little bit and mash a couple buttons, do the auto combo and dip out. But once you introduce them to the FGC, I think commentary is a big factor why they decide to kind of stick around and invest more time into it. So I think
in this modern era post, when the digital started to blow up in 2012, 2011, I guess makes streaming more, much more commonplace like that.
Yeah.
In this modern era after that, for fighting games, surely, it has become, I think, very important. Maybe more important than most people realize, on multiple levels, right? I think for fighting games, especially because we're so different. I think, or naturally, how can I say this? I think. I'm gonna be actually. I don't care. I'm a flex. I think we're naturally more diverse. I think we have naturally more diverse demographics than I can't say demographics, but you like obviously 18 to 35-year-old males, but within that, very heavy like racial diversity.
Right.
With regards to females, man, that's tough.
That's
though I will say I will say this. I think there's maybe more out there than you think. I think there may be more out there than you think, but that's regardless. We still have a long way to go with that.
Yeah.
But part of bringing that difference in flavor, I think we've really done a good job of doing that through commentary. I think it's pretty clear when you stack it up against, and this is no disrespect. Nah, it is disrespectful. It is disrespectful to some of these tier 1 games, right? Or like the tier 2 esports titles, right? I think a lot of the voices it's easy for them to sound the same. You get like American accent, British accent, but it's like the voices seem kind of the same.
Yeah, it's fairly.
You hear so many different kinds of voices, so many different kinds of people in fighting games that you wouldn't get maybe some titles like that. And I think that's a point that that the fighting game the greater fighting game community should be proud of, and that's because that's valuable.
That's actually a perfect transition to what I was going to ask you next. Was I don't know how much you watch the Overwatch League. I had a buddy of mine introduce me to Overwatch. I think maybe like mid of last year because I didn't really know much about that game. I don't know much about shooters.
Sure,
but he introduced me.
I'll tell you what, man. I'll bust your ass in some Counter Strike. some Counter. On 1.6 in Source, I'll bust your ass. And look, Overwatch. You said you didn't even watch it much.
No,
I'll tell you what, man. That game was pretty fun. To be honest with you, I'd probably still be playing it if I had a team to play with regularly. Because the biggest issue for me was I'd get on rank by myself, and you'd be paired with one idiot against a team that knows what they're doing, dude. You're just gonna get washed. I had to dip, man. I had to quit. I had to uninstall it. I got too mad.
Well, you should live with my roommate. I hear screams out of his room because that seems to happen to him a lot.
I play a mean Soldier 76 and a mean Junkrat, man. I tell you.
Well, maybe you guys can team up one day. But anyway, he's introducing me to the game, and I'm open to any other scene, because I do the same with fighting games, right? I want more people to come in. So if somebody's willing to do that for me, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. Be like, all right, let me see what this is all about. So I remember we're watching Overwatch League, and this is like the most, like, I guess the highest level, right? So think of like Capcom Cups, think of like Evo, like this is their pinnacle or whatever. So Tekken World Tour, Dragon Ball Fighters. So I'm watching this, and because I've been so kind of sunken into like the FGC and their model and the way they do things, the commentary. When I was listening to the commentary, it was so different for me because they're all basically on a desk, and they can't really let loose. They can't really show their personality. Like you said, it kind of all sounds the same. Maybe different accents, maybe different speaking patterns, but for the most part, what they're saying just sounds pretty homogenous. It's all the same. And because we have that sort of flavor and spice with personalities in the FGC, especially on the commentary side, it felt a little bland to me, and it felt like a disservice that they weren't really showcasing what the community had to do via using their commentating. And I remember where the one guy was trying to kind of make a joke, and immediately the guy who's like the main host had to cut him loose, and he was like, all right, back to Rebecca with the sideline interview. It's like, it kind of sucks to see that, because with fighting games we kind of let loose a little bit, and we find it funny or okay, like when we had Reinhardt and Rip kind of go at it. It wasn't scripted or anything, but we like that kind of stuff. And I like the fact that the FGC allows for a little more freedom for the personalities to explore, especially with commentary. And I felt that that's a lot of times that it separates the FGC and other esports, I guess. I don't know what you call them, circuits or community scenes from us, because I don't know, I might just be an echo chamber, I might just be saying this, but I feel that we bring something else to the table that is not cookie cutter. It's not trying to be like broadcast on TV or stuff like that. We have our personality, if that makes any sense.
Well, I mean, there's a couple reasons for that too, right? Like Overwatch obviously has, I'll tell you, like right now, the cost to get a team in Overwatch is like, what, $35 million or something like that?
Sheesh.
That league, from even before that game was released, already had millions of dollars invested into it. When you get that many corporate sponsors, corporate hands into it, of course it's going to become more homogenous. Of course the presentation is going to be very cookie cutter, because, like you said, there's probably so much red tape and so many rules. I can tell you right now, they got some of the best talent in the world doing that game. Mm-hmm. Like Golden Boy, it's like esports all-stars watching that shit, right?
Yeah.
But then you mentioned, like, yeah, it's kind of homogenous. Like, it's not like it's just, there's not really any spice there. It's very cookie cutter, very just basic. I'm gonna tell you right now, dude, those dudes probably have so many rules. I'm telling you, but that's just something that you have to deal with. That's the cost of getting that kind of money and that level of corporate sponsorship and that level of support. Like that, rules come with that, man. That's red tape comes with that. That you just have to be prepared to deal with that. It's unfortunate that it kind of outshine. I guess like they weren't able to outshine it, right? That's unfortunate. That's
right.
Kind of lost. But I'll tell you what, that DJ Khaled halftime show at the end, that one guy. I mean, it was no it was no Capcom Cup halftime show. To be honest with you, even that wasn't that bad. To be honest with you, I don't think it came out well on the stream.
Right.
It's difficult to mix live audio like that, but hopefully we deviate a little bit from that formula. I would,
yeah, that poor guy. Stream monster.
Poor guy, dude. I mean, no, man. He got paid, man. You can't be like poor guy.
That's true.
He got paid, but just that kind of example. And you brought up in comparison. Think about what I just said in comparison to Tekken World Tour Grand, right? Where after we talked about for a week, about payout, like that, right?
Yeah.
About
true.
why is this so low?
That's still talking about it.
You see right there. That's a big difference. That's a big reason. This guy. Yeah, that's what you're giving up. Like my personal feeling, and not everybody agrees with it, and that's fine. But that's just my personal feeling is maybe, I don't want to say meet in the middle. I think we can still do our thing. But find other ways to still have that kind of appeal.
Mm-hmm.
or bolster our appeal, I should say, to where we can still get access to opportunities and resources like that we can distribute within our community. And I'm talking about like play, like, dude, there's something. So when you talk about like sacrificing that, it's stressful because like that money issue, that it's always going to be there, right? This will never like take off without some form of monetary support, like whether we're talking about like corporate sponsorships, just like people just more players in the pool, right?
Yeah.
In terms of getting more money for our events and stuff like that. That stuff it doesn't just happen. But my thing is I think it's something that we need to take at least give a little bit of attention to. So many people, they just write it off as like the esports boogeyman, right? Mm-hmm. Like I do that actually, but
I think we're all guilty of doing that.
Like I said, there's something very, very special about opportunity or chances. Think about what Justin Wong is doing when he sponsors Lost Soul for no reason.
Yeah,
Justin's not even playing Guilty, but he's like, man, this guy's really good. I believe in him. I'm gonna send him to some Guilty here. Lo and behold, Lost Soul gets third place at Evo, beats Nage, and breaks a glass ceiling in the game's history. Mm-hmm. Like that's crazy. But it all started with him giving someone a chance, right?
Right.
When we break out into that direction with a lot of like esports orgs or developing our ecosystem in a way, I want it to go in a way where more people get opportunity, more people get chances. Mm-hmm. That to me is special. That's something I work toward.
Did you by chance get to read what Tom Cannon had to say on Twitter as far as the whole esports movement?
The recent Twitter stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of that is in response to I think when people see more like what happened recently. Something happened recently. Oh, Tokido departing from Echo Fox.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's right. But also, did you see? I have a colleague named Crims. He made a pretty good tweet about it. This is something that happens all the time. Mm-hmm. Every time a fighting game player in an organization depart, you see on Twitter always just 98% of people talking and have no idea what they're doing.
Yeah,
there are hordes, like just multitudes of reasons for why a player could leave an org. You shouldn't assume they were let go. You shouldn't assume that they opted to leave. You don't know. You can draw conclusions, I guess, based on Echo Fox's recent situation, right? Mm-hmm. But that isn't always the case. I wouldn't draw too many assumptions. I generally agree with the Cannon brothers and their commentary on this kind of stuff. But also, yeah, you should be weary. Like, we're probably okay. We're probably not doing too badly. And I'll tell you, yeah, we're relax. Like Tokido leaving Echo Fox is not the end of the world. Them dropping other players like that is not the end of the world. And I mean, it's not even the same. You're not even seeing the same result across the board, right? Like you don't see all these other orgs just suddenly dropping fighting game players. Mm-hmm. Not how it works. Now, to be honest with you, I think it's very difficult for fighting game players to be profitable or it's fighting games are tough, man, compared to the tier 1, tier 2 titles, like, the Dotas, the LoLs, and all the other stuff. The monetization routes, the fan base sizes, the way impressions work, fighting games are tough. It's tough to make them work. But in general, like the slow and steady growth that I think we've seen in entrance, in viewership, in just community in general, I think you should feel good about. I would relax. Just take a deep breath. There's probably more going on behind the scenes than you or I know.
Right.
Wink, wink. Hint, hint.
No, I'm sure. I mean, regardless, I do think he did say a couple things and that really intrigued me. It was like a long series of tweets. Basically,
yeah, I recall.
Yeah, long story short, and I don't want to obviously paraphrase and put words in his mouth, but from what I got from it, he was talking about basically how the route of venture capital in the FGC is maybe something we might want to rethink, because technically it does work, but when the money dries up, it's it doesn't really correspond with what FGC grassroots does. Because
I mean, it's not even limited to FGC is the thing.
That is true, yeah.
The way that industry I hate the word esports. Can I say that? I hate esports as a word. I cringe every time I have to say it. But for esports in general, you have to understand, like, that venture capitalist stuff, that doesn't even just apply to fighting games. That's just in general. It's especially in the recent years where this stuff has blown up to the point where it's like, okay, we can no longer ignore it. They just hear esports. That's all they hear, right? And they're like, they hear esports and money, and they're like, oh man, maybe I could do this esports stuff and get some money without knowing anything about the games, without knowing anything about the community, without knowing anything about the trajectories, without knowing anything about the numbers, without knowing anything about how the shit actually works, without knowing anything. They just dump their money into something. Cool, esport. Unrealistic expectations of ROI in terms of time, in terms of like how long it'll take this thing to develop, in terms of how to make return on the interest. Just zero information. But like it's a buzzword. It's really bad in Japan. I'll tell you that. Really bad in Asia. Yes. A lot of people we heard this esports stuff is getting big. What an absurd even like comment to make, right? We heard this esports stuff is getting big. Like, what does that even mean? So yeah, we want to get into it.
That's
what do you mean get into it? Yeah, exactly. Well, pretty much. Imagine your dad takes out $40K and just puts it on. I don't know, dude. Like some random like. Can you imagine if your dad gave Chris T $40,000 or some shit like that? Okay. Yeah, just like it's of course, it fails. No shit. Of course, you have unrealistic expectations, but that's pretty much what you're talking about, right? Like when he was talking about like the venture capitalists and stuff like that, that's not limited to them. That's everyone. No. But that's one reason why I think the top orgs in general have done a better job, I think, of weeding out those kinds of individuals. Mm-hmm. They want people that are more committed and want more people that they kind of have a baseline understanding of what they're getting into.
Right.
That's not a FGC thing. That's a greater competitive gaming.
No, yeah, I agree with that. Actually, I guess I'm always in the FGC. I don't really, like you said earlier, like my eyes aren't, or I guess my head doesn't swivel as much. Not only to, I guess it does swivel within the FGC, but not outside of it. That's probably something I should be doing more. It's kind of looking out.
It's something that I've had to do more, man. Like I said, I used to just play for. From now, I have to. I'm looking at Overwatch stuff and the artifact stuff. I'm like, man, this stuff is. Mm-hmm. I just boot up Tekken training mode after. I'm like, man, I just
Your chat was going crazy about that artifact. What was it yesterday?
Yeah, that game. I tell you, man, like the perspective you get.
Yeah,
it's crazy for some of these games. It's crazy, like before they're even released, just millions of dollars. Mm-hmm. It's crazy, insane compared to art. We're like Tekken World Tour winner got like 6K. Like what? What are we doing?
Don't remind
me.
Like I feel so bad for that. I mean, I've spoken about this before, and everybody listening to this already knows I ranted about this. But I was mad about that mostly because I'm really sensitive as a Tekken player. But
sure.
What else can you do? Like you said, there's sacrifices have to be made, and if we want to kind of, we're not there yet.
It's still developing, and yeah. I'll tell you what a big factor of that is. A lot of our games are JP developers, and Japan is pretty behind in terms of that regard, right? Mm-hmm. They're typically in modern era, Japan has failed in a few ways, and that's A, reading and understanding global market. Actually, B, they've been super slow to adopt PC, but also stuff like this too, right? Like just working with the community to be able to build up events like this and stuff. They have not done the best job of it. They've been very slow with that, but that's Japan, dude. They're just really slow. Mm-hmm. They're really slow, painfully behind. It's just part of it. That's part of the boon of that's part of what we're dealing with in terms of having a lot of JP developers. But the good thing is they're becoming more self-aware. They're becoming more aware of the issues, and I think a lot of people are working behind the scenes to try to change that. Might not happen over a couple of seasons, right? Instead of just one.
Yeah.
But people, it should get better. Yeah, there should be progress.
Yeah.
I hope to God there is. Like I said, man, Tekken right now, the way I feel is if Tekken can't get its shine right now, if Tekken can't get it done right now, then I'm gonna tell you what, man. If you play KOF, if you play Guilty Gear, if you play whatever the Koihime, whatever. Shout out to Brian F. If you play Koihime, if you play, it doesn't matter what you play, right. Then it'll never. If Tekken can't get that kind of support right now, if Tekken can't elevate right now to the level of the impressions that it gets, to the level of the audience engagement, the level of just the competition. If that can't meet up, then I don't think any other game will have a shot except Street Fighter, whatever the newest Street Fighter.
Yeah.
I think that'll always be the ceiling. And that's the thing, right? It's not so much about that one game. It's just about elevating our ceiling potential is my thing. That's what I want to see.
Yeah.
As long as it's just one title that's kind of scratching the surface there, you'll always be limited to that one title's influence. Mm-hmm. But if we can get more and more titles to be able to try to get a little bit closer, be able to scratch that surface, be able to get up to that same kind of level, our overall reach improved. The nature of our influence improved.
That is actually interesting. Actually, that brings it up. I don't know because I played Tekken predominantly, even though I basically skipped Tag 2 as far as playing. I did spectate it, but I mean, I played Tekken Revolution for Christ's sake. But in my opinion,
hey, me too, man. Me too.
and
you remember that feeling? We just messing around with the tickets, right?
Yeah,
yeah.
That game was cheap as fuck, but
I mean, it was free.
That's true. It was free. But do you feel, because and from my perspective, I don't feel that Tekken has been I don't think it's been as popular as perhaps it is now. At least I don't feel so like it's been as popular in the West. I feel that Tekken has always had, at least when I joined, it had like a cool community, but it wasn't that big, but it was pretty high level. But now I feel that really Tekken 7 kind of took it to a different level as far as I would say more globally. Like the word of mouth is perhaps a little more. It's around more. That's what I kind of want to say. Because now when I say Tekken, I find that more people understand what I'm talking about versus if you just say Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat. Because I think like the cachet is starting to reach people a little more.
I mean, in my opinion, right now Tekken 7 is it's crazy, it's insane. Like it literally jumps. This is a rebirth of the 3D fighter genre, and that's the one carrying the flag. I think Tekken is right now as big as it's ever been. Yeah. I think the closest you're going to come is Tag 1, Tekken 3 era, and Tekken 5 DR. You had a pretty decent peak there. But globally, in terms of global influence, I think this might be it. I think this might be the all-time peak. This hasn't. Yeah. I think I'm just thinking what even comes close in my memory is Tekken 3 Tag 1. That was during arcade era and PS1. As a title, but I think the thing that what even comes close has to be Tekken 1, 3, or DR.
Yeah, no, I feel the same.
But I think 7, honestly, and obviously 7 has a lot of benefits, right? Modern era, of course, we have streaming. It's so much easier to reach that many more people, right? Yeah. But I think this era I think Tekken 7 right now is probably all time high for the game, in my opinion. Like globally, that's the way I feel.
No, yeah, I feel that there's definitely buzz for that game, and I think it's long overdue. I always liked the franchise, even though I might not have liked every single game in the franchise, but the franchise itself I really enjoyed. So I like the fact that Tekken is doing well. It's just a fun game, so I think it's well deserved.
It is definitely fun, pretty satisfying to play. It's hard, but that's also why it's very rewarding.
Especially when you're trying to do Tantra Upper.
That is not that. I got a little bit better with it actually. I hit it again. Yeah. But anyway, I don't play Brian for a reason, man. I don't want nothing to do with that character.
Yeah, I feel he's a bait character for a lot of people. They see this, a human or a cyborg that looks like a human kicks people's ass, and they want to try him, and they're like, oh wait, I gotta do this.
Yeah, he actually requires execution. Oh, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
I think 2 games everybody should be rooting for. 2 games, 2 things. They need to be rooting for Tekken's ecosystem to stabilize. There has to be money that makes it worth it for players to compete. There has to be money to where, if you want that kind of culture, if you want that kind of ecosystem, the top players the players playing professionally have to be able to sustain themselves by just playing Tekken. That's all stuff that has to become a fact. Because, you have that for Street Fighter, right? You have that for... It's going to be far from that, but they have to at least try to get to that, closer to that point. That's what I said when the ecosystem stabilizes like that. That's a lot of what I'm talking about. You need to be rooting for Tekken to do that because it has everything else, is the thing. That's the beautiful part about it in this era, is like, they have very charismatic personality. It has all the hard stuff. Very charismatic personalities, lots of, the best commentators overall, big player base, very active online player base.
A lot of legacy too.
Yeah, it's a legacy title. Arcades in Korea, arcade legacy in Korea, arcade legacy in Japan. You have old heads, you have new heads. It has all the hard. It has people pushing it behind the scenes. It has all the hard stuff that a lot of other scenes can't get, or don't have, or wish they had. But then the good thing is the stuff that it needs to develop its ecosystem is all stuff that we can do, right? Like it's not the hard stuff like that. It's stuff that people can do. Like we can say, oh, we can work with this company to create this potential. We can do this. The other stuff you can't buy. You can't make money. You can't make. I mean, I guess you could you can pay influencers. I don't know, something like that. You can make pay Maximilian to stream the game or shit.
Right.
But all that other stuff I mentioned that's hard. That's hard stuff. That's stuff that you can't. You really can't buy that.
Yeah, you can't quantify that stuff.
I said you should be rooting for Tekken to stabilize and I mentioned the implications of before, right? If you play any other game, dude, if Tekken can't get it right now, if Tekken can't do this shit right now, I mean, your game doesn't stand a chance, quite frankly.
Right.
And the other game I said was Under Night in Birth, because that game's another crazy story, actually. Mm-hmm. That game came out when I came to Japan in 2012. It wasn't even out yet. And when it first came out, it was a bad game. Kuso game. It was actually shit. But the thing is, and with that company, they do this every time. They change the games and they make good, solid changes to the game to where over time it becomes a Melty Blow was the same way. And the thing is, that game, ever since the console release of the first console release of EX Late overseas a few years ago, mm-hmm. It was a bad version of the game. But despite that, very strong numbers for a title like that, for a French bread developed game. Very strong numbers, very competitive numbers,
right?
In terms of entrance, in terms of tournament, people even watching. Now this most recent version comes out with the console release, and look, the North American release is literally sent to die. They released it like a week apart from Dragon Ball or something something just insane, right? Like literally, that game was. Have you ever seen Glory, dude? It's a movie about black Union soldiers.
Okay, it was
and they just get marched into a fort at the end that no one has ever taken. It's literally a suicide mission. They're just like, yeah, just go march in there. They're sent to their death. That was Under Night in Birth. It was literally just like released into nothingness. And yet somehow the Western community, man, this game, even in Japan, you have to understand is a smaller scene. It has a lot. It's still arcade based. It's still like, it has that arcade. Mm-hmm. I don't know if legacy is the right word because it's only been 5 or 6 years, but it does have that arcade foundation. And there's a lot of good competition here at the top, especially between West Japan, East Japan. There's a lot of good shit there. But the Western community has taken that game and 2018 they delivered, man. They delivered. Every tournament had more entrants than the last one. To the point where we're looking at 300-man Under Night in Birth tournaments. That's crazy. It's insane.
No, yeah, I agree. I'm actually really enjoying that game. My history with that game is because I was playing Persona 4 or I was playing Vanilla and Ultimax back in the day. I didn't get into Unio too much. I played Akatsuki a little bit, and I did a couple combos. I was like, all right, let's try to play online. I got smashed by Grim Reaper like 80 times. And I was like, all right, let me play something else.
Yep.
And I picked it up last year, and I'm having a lot of fun with that game. It's basically I'm playing Tekken and UNIST is what I'm playing now, and I'm ass at both, but I'm having a lot of fun. So
that's not a bad combo. Can't fault you for that.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, what I was saying was, man, I'll put this out there. Look, man, events like Climax of Night, even gotta give props to CEO Otaku, Combo Break. That game, that community, I want to see them. I don't think they need this. I'm gonna say it. I don't think they need this. They don't need it. It's not about what they need. I want them to have it because I think that it's such an awesome thing going on, and I think it's got potential to create some real hype. I want that game at EVO 2019, not on the side. I want that game on a stage, and I'll tell you why. Because something that the game hasn't had yet, or it has, but in very small bit. You saw it at CEO Otaku a little bit when Rampo came from. You saw it at Climax of Night when I sent Scenario and Rampo there as well. The international showdown for this game will be very fun to watch. I think so. I'm telling you that Evo announcement is going to happen after Evo Japan, after week after next week. I think you guys should be rooting for that game to get in there because I think it has a lot to offer.
No, I agree. I definitely agree. I agree so much that I've preached this before that I actually don't like, even though I played Persona and I really like Persona, I hate cross tag battle. I don't like what they did with the characters I used to play in Persona. They feel like a shell of themselves, and I'd rather play a game like UNIST where I have no real tethering to than than Cross Tag Battle, where like I spent, I don't know how long those two games were out for, but I spent a long time with that franchise that I won't even touch Cross Tag.
So this isn't a knock at people who are playing BBTAG and enjoying it, because I think they came out with some recent patch notes that a lot of people were pleased with. I think that game, especially upcoming weekend after next, is going to be EVO Japan, where that game is going to have its first real big stage since CEO Otaku, I guess.
Wow. Yeah, I haven't gone back, so I don't know.
I talk a lot of mess on it, but I'm jokingly, right? Like if you play the game and you like it, that's great. Mm-hmm. For me personally, I feel some similar way when I play it. I get that it's supposed to be, you know, like a versus kind of tag game inspired, but to me, when I play it, I always feel like, man, I would rather just play. You know, I see like this character, I'm like, man, I would rather just play BlazBlue, or like I would rather just play Under Night instead of like playing him in this game. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, I'd rather just play the game they're from. Is the way I know it is working out for me. Yeah, I empathize.
Yeah, it sucks. I got debated with that one, but oh well. Hopefully, you know, maybe they'll come back with. Actually, I don't know. ArcSys has a lot on their plate. I know they're doing Grand Blue Fantasy and obviously Dragon Ball.
I'll tell you what, man. I was really tight about no new Guilty Gear, and I was really tight. But then when you saw the Grand Blue versus announcement, I was like, okay, I guess that makes sense, right? Mm-hmm. They've been doing Dragon Ball, they've been doing that. They got no time for GG. I get it. And look, and I'll say this, man. If Under Night gets in and no GG this year, I'm personally invested, and I have like something to gain from GG being. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna tell you right now, if GG is not there and Under Night is there, I'm smiling. I'm like, hey man, they give them their shine, man. They deserve it this year. Give them their spot. I'm telling you, man. Look, bro. You put that game Sunday morning at 8 a.m. while Chris T's still sleeping. I think I think they light the place up. I think they light it up.
I guess it kind of leads to. Well, I guess we've sort of spoken about this already, but it leads to this next question: is like as far as modern FGC. So, I guess 2018, 2019. We've spoken about obviously UNIST, Tekken, Dragon Ball, but do you have any other like fighting games that you've been enjoying, either spectating, commentating, playing?
I've unfortunately been departed from KOF 14. Yeah. I haven't played it since the second DLC patch. Mm. I have not even played like Najd, or I think the new character. She looks cool, but I just haven't had time to play it, to be honest. I've mostly been focusing on. I don't stream it a lot, but I still play a lot of Guilty Gear. I've been going to like Mikado maybe for the past month and a half, and playing 5 or 6 nights a week. Just grinding, actually like trying to play. But Tekken, Dragon Ball, Under Night are the other games that I'm playing a good bit. As for what else I like to watch, dude, I'm down for whatever, man. If it's on, I'll probably watch. You know, like I bought Mortal Kombat 9 and I played it a good bit, but I did not buy Mortal Kombat 10, did not buy Injustice 1, did not buy Injustice 2, will not buy Mortal Kombat X 11 also, and that's partially out of spite because they didn't invite me to the reveal. I was expecting that black envelope in the mail and it never came. But despite that, I'm always down to watch. Always down to watch. I mean, dude, the thing is, most of the stuff I'm enjoying, I'm playing. Shit, like, or at least trying to play shit.
Are you a Soul Calibur fan at all?
So that's a really interesting. I did not buy No, I can't say that anymore. I did buy. I got Soul Calibur because we use my PlayStation sometimes for Fighting Tuesday. Mm-hmm. So you say like I kind of do Dragon Ball, and I'm a little bit tight that you said that, and I'll tell you why.
I'm sorry.
Because do you know about Fighting Tuesday?
Yeah, of course.
So I run Dragon Ball every week. I've been running it every week for a year. Mm. Like,
did I say kinda? I'm sorry.
No, I'm just messing with you. But so Soul Calibur, when it came out, and this is something that's been a little bit kind of disappointing for me, but I feel like the Western community for that game has been very, very quiet. And it's disappointing because I remember the first week that Soul Calibur 6 came out, I went into Fighting Tuesday to set up or whatever, and the two guys came in at like 4 o'clock. Mm-hmm. One of them, and they're both. One of them is like he's like, how can I say? You want to think of like he's like Japanese. Who's somebody? He's like a Japanese Sammy Fish or some shit. I don't know. Okay. You know, like a commentator who's all like, you know, just very eager, always kind of like always like trying to. He's around.
He plays Venom.
he showed up at 4:00 with a notebook, and he's like, "Who's doing commentary for Soul Calibur?" I was like, "What?" Because like the nuances, of course, like in Japan, no one comes up to you and does. No one comes up to you and just like, if they want something, they're usually like very like roundabout with it. He came up, he was straight up like, "Who's doing commentary for this game?" No one. You want to do commentary? He's like, "Yes, put me on." Very, very eager, very, very like driven right at the start.
Mm-hmm.
And even though I don't play the game, dude, the people that have been coming out for this game, the old men who have been coming out for this game in just our little Fighting Tuesday gathering, right?
Mm-hmm.
Soul Calibur is usually pretty consistent, man. Usually it's a 32-man bracket or above, and that's just a weekly, right? But it's a lot of old men from a lot of different scenes, a lot of old Tekken heads, a lot of old Virtua Fighter heads, a lot of old Soul Calibur heads, a lot of old DOA heads. It's a huge mix. And that also makes it pretty cool. Mm-hmm. And the thing is this, man, even just for our Tuesday tournaments, they get hype. They're hype as shit. They're actually like they're really excited for the game, dude. Like for top 4, there's usually a group that, you know, they're trying to squeeze in that last little bit before the last train. And I'm just telling you, man, that community really surprised me. JP domestic community really surprised me in Tokyo. They come out every week. Compared to the Dragon Ball, compared to the Tekken communities, dude, they have by far the most drive, I would say.
Really? Wow, that's super interesting to hear.
Dude, like I said, I don't even play the game, but shit, I watch every grand finals, and I'm like, damn, it's just kind of hype, you know?
No, that's sick. You're right. I think the West has been fairly quiet as far as buzz with that game. And the only reason I'm asking, I'm actually not a Soul Calibur guy. Kind of like yourself. Like I'll watch it if it's hype. But I don't, for the most part, I always stayed with like the Tekken side of things as far as 3D. But I should give that game another chance. I know a lot of people listen to this always ask me, he's like, "Hey, can you talk about Soul Calibur?" I was like, "Oh, I can't because I don't know much about it." So
I'll tell you right now, a lot of people in our community will tell you like they play 2 and 3 a lot. That's the case. That was certainly the case. Mm-hmm. But yeah, 6. I'm also just dude, it's hard to play more than like 2 or 3 games anyway, man. It's just hard, bro. Like you don't. That's why I'm like, man, I gotta cut it off here, bro. Like I want to play KOF, but I'm like, man, like I'm already like stretched beyond my limits, right?
Right.
I gotta cut it off at some point. But that said, you know, NLBC is doing their thing. Of course, you know, you can always watch action there. But I have not. Just in general, the West has been pretty quiet. And for me, you know what? I'm gonna even put it this way. I'm issuing y'all a challenge, man. Why don't y'all make some goddamn noise? Because we're out here doing it, and these guys are out here going ham. And just watch it, Evo Japan. I guarantee you're gonna see some of those faces from Fighting Tuesday on top 8 stage. I guarantee you. Promise you.
Hey, that'd be sick. Every time I bring this game up, whether it's on the podcast or any video or Twitter or whatever, people give me shit for it. And I'm not even like a legacy player for this game, but when I saw the sort of reimagination of DOA 6, I mean, it might be trash. I'm not trying to like be negative about it, but when I saw it, I was like, I think there might be something there. And every time I bring up DOA 6,
yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, DOA 6 is definitely a part of the renaissance.
Yeah, I mean, I get shit for bringing that game every time, but I'm willing to give it a chance to see what it has to offer. And then if it's trash, it's trash. But at least I gave it a shot. I'm not gonna axe it before just because it has like a bad reputation. At least more in the modern era, I suppose. But
dude, you like no matter what, man, you got to be willing to try stuff out.
Yeah.
You got to. I mean, that's the biggest thing that I think. It feels like a lot of people aren't. It's tough because there's levels to it, and there's lots of factors. Mm-hmm. I don't know what happened where people have become like so kind of prude about the games that they play that they're just not even willing to just like even mess around with some stuff. I'm like, man, just messing around with some games has been so, bruh. I can think of just numerous examples. Listen, if you have one other person to play with, dude, that's all you really need.
Right.
I'm gonna tell you right now, man. Do you know the game Dengeki Bunko Fighting Climax?
I do.
All right, I'm gonna tell you what. I don't like the game at all.
Mm-hmm.
When it first came out in arcades, I looked at the character select screen. I said, I don't know any. I literally, that's my litmus test for if you're a real weeb. If you know more than 3 characters in that game's initial roster, you're probably a weeb. You're probably weeb. And I was like, I knew 2. I knew Sonic the Hedgehog because he had a stage. He wasn't even a playable character.
Okay.
And I knew like one other character, but there was one other guy at the arcade who if no one was on Guilty Gear, he would always be there playing that. So I was like, you know what? I want to play GG tonight, or I want to play whatever tonight, but he's here. You know what? This guy looks lonely. You know, I will play or whatever, man. Look, that game that I did not like, the game that I think I guess it looks all right, but I mean, like, I have zero connection to that game. I like zero attraction there. I probably played that game more than you can imagine, just because we had that one other guy there. Sometimes that's all you need.
No, that's sick. Yeah. I have a bunch of friends, I guess not a bunch. I have a couple friends that they weren't necessarily shitting on Fighting EX Layer, but then they tried the game, and it turned out that they liked that game more than whatever they were playing before. So
that's not even that weird, man. You'd be surprised. The people that gravitate toward that game, especially even after its arcade release, it actually got released in arcades here.
Really?
A lot of old heads like that game. I like that game a lot. It's hard.
Yeah. No, yeah, just give it a try. I mean, I don't think anything is dead on arrival. I mean, at least give it a shot. I mean, even Infinite, I don't think was dead on arrival. I think the FGC is known for having an echo chamber, and I'm susceptible to it too. I'm not going to front that I'm saying that, but like, you were brought up graphics. I mean, you know, KOF 14, people shat on those graphics. Infinite, people obviously making memes, Chun-Li's face, all that. When you have a bad stigma for a game, it's tough to get out of that, and I think the FGC does a terrible job of like.
In the current climate, yeah, absolutely. Like, this is a current like think project that a lot of old heads do. Can you imagine if Marvel 2 was released in modern day Twitter?
Oh Jesus!
Yeah, like just what would happen, right? I think about that all the time. Just like, what if All in the Family was released with modern day Twitter? You know, like Archie Bunker's just random, just like bigotry. Mm-hmm. Just like, how is this on TV? Like, you know, there's so much. Yeah, modern it's like social media plays a big role into that. Like influencers obviously do play a big role into that. Just the way things are now, it's so radically different.
Yeah,
it's so weird. But I think just in general, people are a little bit more open to trying some stuff out. I think you'd probably find that you might not even like something, but you'd be surprised with what you end up doing, or with how far you end up going with something that you might not have considered otherwise. No. Yeah, I mean, more people just need to be open-minded, man.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I was really surprised how much I like, just by having them update the game, how much I like UNIST over Unio, because I didn't like Unio. So it's
yes, I mentioned it earlier, right? That developer they're classic with that. Dude, their updates are really, really good. Like, from update to update to update, the game is almost always improved. Almost always. They have a very strong track record. That developer, French Bread, look, man, you can say what you want about, listen, Batista and Mika, or whatever, what's her name, Lene? He's like 800 years old in the body of a 12-year-old.
The chick with the floating cat or whatever.
Listen, man, that's some crazy shit. You know, but they make pretty good games. They make pretty good games, and their OSTs are on point.
Oh, yeah. Shout outs to French Bread. I got a buddy of mine, shout outs to Euphorio. He won't play Eunice with me, but every time, you know, I bring up Eunice, he'll be like, yeah, we'll play Melty Blood with me. So shout outs to French Bread. This one's a little, I kind of speak about this a lot, and I get flack for it, because people call me like really old fashioned, but
yeah, no shit, man. Dude, you're gonna listen, bro. Do whatever the hell you want to do, man.
I know, yeah, I've learned that lesson.
Especially on YouTube, man. Yeah. These Goombas in the comment section, man, they will talk all kind of shit. Bro, these fat MFers, man, with their mother bringing them Cinnamon Toast Crunch with warm milk and all this other crazy shit. They got all the shit in the world to talk in the comment section, won't ever at you, won't ever bring anything to the table themselves. Just do what you want to do, man.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, Goomba mentality, don't let that hold you.
Noted. Yeah, I've learned that lesson throughout doing this, is that that's gonna happen. It's a part of the trade, so I'm fine with that.
No one listen to me. No one is exempt from no one.
Yep.
Not this is something. Anytime you do something that is put out there, you're putting yourself out there. And listen to what I'm saying, because I'm saying this happens with everyone. Everyone doing anything. If you don't think this happens to like Tasty Steve, Sajam, Yipes, if you don't think that this happens to professional athletes, you're crazy. if you're putting yourself out there, you have to be ready for what comes. You know that you're going to have to be ready to be able to take that on. You cannot be that soft.
Right. No, I wholeheartedly agree. You can't please anybody, so you might as well be true to yourself, right?
Pretty much. What's the question?
The question is, what do you think of like this recent trend as far as, we've seen fighting games somewhat, ease up on both mechanics and just making gameplay a bit more.
I don't like it at all. I don't like it.
All right. Yeah. I feel the same way.
I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't, and I'll tell you why. I think it sucks for you to dumb down games and to reduce the level. I don't like that is disrespectful to the core fan base and to the people that want to play the game. I don't like that. I don't like it at all. What I would rather, if you want to streamline some stuff, that's fine. But what I would rather you do is invest more into teaching people how to play the game. Mm-hmm. I think better tutorials are they're not necessary, but I think that they would be huge. I think that's a really big drop ball with Tekken 7, to be honest with you. Right. Especially, and the thing is, the game is done so well despite that. But imagine if it had that in addition, right? Now, of course, you have like tons of content creators who have done an incredible job with that game. Mm-hmm. But that's still an extra step that people have to take. In this current generation, you don't want to have to leave it up to them to take extra steps. If they're going to fall along the way, somewhere along the way anyway, if they're going to fall off anyway, that's fine. But you want to at least be able to put all that stuff out there and present it to them, right? Right. I don't like nerfing mechanic. I don't like this recent trend that developers have been doing. Have you noticed, that chip damage? What happened to chip damage? Have you noticed that?
Yeah, it's not really a thing anymore, is it?
That is so whack to me. As somebody who plays traditionally pretty boring characters that like to chip you out and stuff like that, right? Like the zone. I'm pissed. This is bullshit. What are they doing? Like, no, dude, teach people how to play. I'd rather them invest more into that. Even though they might not necessarily get an immediate return on it. I think they're more likely to get long-term return on it. But I think that's something that the devs need to do a better job of. But to be honest with you, there are devs that have done a great job. And let me tell you something, man. Mike Z's Twitter presence is pretty bad. I'm not gonna lie. But Skullgirls did get something right with that tutorial. I will say that. And also, we were just talking about Virtua Fighter, man. Probably the Virtua Fighter title that I played the most. I didn't even play with it. I bought Virtua Fighter 4 Evo for $2.99 in GameStop. And that game in 2006, whatever it was, had the most awesome tutorial for a fighting game at that. It was crazy. KI's done a really good job with it. Under Night Invert's done a really good job with Guilty Gear. Guilty Gear tutorial is fantastic.
Yeah, Guilty Gear is excellent.
Yeah. I mean, they're all really good. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I want to see more of that, but also more driven single player content, more inspired single player content. It's crazy to me that Alpha 3 console release had World Tour mode, which I think is one of the more interesting takes on single player modes. Mm. Why haven't we seen in this era like a leveled up version of that? Can you imagine if there was just like every week new challenges on your World Tour mode, or like new abilities you could buy to customize your character with and go into the mode with, stuff like that? And then what if you had a mode that you could compete in that? Have you ever played console Alpha 3?
No, I haven't.
You should go back, take a look at it. It's actually pretty interesting, man. To say that this game was released 1998, I think, on console. They had a single player content that was very engaging. It was very fun, very engaging, which is very strange to say for a Street Fighter game. But we haven't seen it revisited, and that's just so weird to me. I feel like it was a good idea that just never got elaborated on. I like to see something, go back towards that. Right. But for me, what I would say is, when it comes to nerfing mechanics or making things easier and going for more hand holding like that, as an enthusiast and as someone who likes to play a lot of different games, I don't like it. And instead of nerfing the appeal for your core audience who's going to play the game no matter what, instead of nerfing that experience, you should try to buff the experience for the newcomer coming in. You should try to buff the appeal for the newcomer. And you don't do that by saying, hey, we're going to make it easy for you to win. You should do it by saying, hey, we're going to teach you how to play to win.
I couldn't have said that better myself. You touched on a point where I feel is so important that a lot of people forget when we talk about, because I've spoken about the people that they're actually on the other side where they think fighting games are too hard. They should be mainstreamed for people to be able to get in. And you touched on a point where it says it's not only a disservice to, I mean, forget grassroots. It's not only, I know like people that play fighting games don't like that, but it's also a disservice to new players. Because it's basically you're saying that people aren't smart enough to figure this out, or you're basically saying that they can't do it. They can't put in the work. So we got to make it easier for them. Basically we have to simplify things, and I feel that you should give people more credit with stuff like that.
Now, I'm not saying there aren't some stupid things that should be revisited. Right. I'll tell you right now, man. Guilty Gear's got some stupid ass shit in it that's just hard for no. That game has some just hard shit for no fucking. Mm-hmm. Why is anyway? There's definitely some things that they can refine to, I think, make it more not mainstream, but make there's unnecessary complex things, and this is title specific, right? It depends on each game that we look at. But in general, yeah, dude, I don't like that. I think when you watch Co-op Cup, right? That game is not easy. No. Can you imagine if that game was released today, what they would try to do? They would be like, yeah, I mean, that's not how it works. Part of the beauty is in the complexity, right? And a lot of the difficulty isn't necessarily in the mechanics or things like that in most games. It depends on the title. Yeah. But a lot of the difficulty that they describe, I think, is just frustration through playing other people that have been playing, who know how to play.
Yeah.
I think it's difficult because I'm sure it's hard for publishers to try to invest time, development time, and cost into stuff that teaches new people how to play. They don't see an immediate return on that, right? That's difficult to justify for them, but it's worth it long term. I think you stand a chance of creating a lifetime customer long term, maybe. I'm gonna be honest with you, man. Some of the stuff doesn't have easy answers. I don't claim to know the answer, dude. I'm that guy. Listen, I'm that fat construction worker. I can't fix the problem, but I can point at the beam. I'm like, hey, man, that shit looks all balanced. I'm not claiming to have the answers. I just know that I know when something looks off. I'm not claiming to be that kind of leader or anything.
Right. No. I just love getting opinions on stuff like that because I have one very similar. I feel because I kind of went through this myself, and so maybe I'm just going through how I felt when I started taking fighting games more seriously, but. Going back to really investing my time, it was over Persona 4 Arena. And that game has a fairly good tutorial, right? It's fairly easy to understand, I feel. It's not too complex. But then you go online, and I remember I couldn't buy a game. It didn't matter who I played. I mean, I was ass. I was trash. And I feel that that happens with a lot of people starting to play fighting games because they go against people who... my first match is against a guy who has 800 hours in Chrono Phantasma. And I don't know that. Right? This is my first online match against whoever. And I get whatever. I get 13-0'd and I decide to whatever. I go take out my dog, I come back, and there's a pivotal point where I feel that a lot of people don't realize that fighting games, in my opinion, are so special is that when you go back, that's kind of that should be the driving force. Is all right, let me see what I can do to sort of fix this. And I like that mentality. That's why I don't like the simplification, because if I won against the guy that has 800 hours in Chrono Phantasma and is playing Persona, I wouldn't know that, but I feel that it would take away from that achievement. I like the fact that guy bodied me, because if I ever see him again and I can play him again, and if I can get a couple games, that means that I put in enough work to eventually sort of compete. And I don't know, that's a gauge that I feel that fighting games allow you to express, especially as players and individuals. So
yeah, I mean, that's part of the beauty of it. The issue is you say that you are a competitor. You've been playing, right? It's difficult for us to try to put ourselves in the shoes of somebody fresh like that, because you've been playing for a long time.
Right.
But yeah, I understand what you're saying. The problem is, I don't think the modern average video game player, especially, it's not easy for these developers either, man. I rag on them all the time, man. I have so much shit to talk about, but it's not easy for them either. You have to think about what they're competing in. You realize Street Fighter V is competing against Fortnite. Think about, you're making a game. How can I make people stay with this game how can I make this game fun to watch when all these kids are huffing up on what's it called, slurp juice and all this other nonsense, right?
I don't know. I didn't
like
watch Fortnite.
like it's not easy for them. They have competition is tough. It's definitely tough.
Yeah.
But I don't feel good about ostracizing the core base to try to appeal to, you know. That's what I don't like.
Yeah. It's almost like a catch-22 because if we need to make games perhaps a little bit simpler to bring in more people, but then you sort of, you know, then that's something that the grassroots aren't really.
You take away what makes those games special as a result. If you have to do that, it's like, well, what's the at what cost?
Yeah, exactly. Well, good shit. We're basically down to the wire here. And again, I appreciate you doing this, man. I know I'm taking some time out of your day, and you're going to be pretty busy this week, so I appreciate this again.
No, you're good, man. It's always fun. It's always fun to shoot shit and talk about.
That is true.
Yeah, some of these questions get me thinking about other stuff. So it's cool, yeah.
Mm-hmm. This one is more. I don't know how true this is, but from my perspective, I think as far as like American FGC, do you think? For the most part, we've been doing. I say we. American FGC, with regards to like the modern circuits, has been doing pretty good as far as placings, even tournament winnings, circuit winnings. Whether it's Street Fighter V or any big game, so Tekken, Dragon Ball, the big circuit games. Usually, I mean, I would say traditionally we saw America be fairly competitive within our own region, right? So we do fairly well in our own tournaments. So like CEO or even notwithstanding so much, but we have SCR, NCR, the Midwest tournaments, all those East Coast ones. We do fairly well, right? But with I would say with Street Fighter V, Dragon Ball Fighters, even a little bit Tekken, more so modern games, BlazBlue, Cross Tag Battle. Do you find that Americans are doing better because we simply just leveled up to, you know, the rest of the world, especially Japan and obviously Korea? Or is it more so to say that it's just the product of the games that we're playing? There's
a few factors. First of all, I don't like to say American FGC. When you leave the country and you get this, you realize it's not American, right? Because what you're saying is, you mean not just America, you mean like Canada as well.
So I suppose I meant
the Western FGC.
Western. Mm-hmm.
Thoughts on them doing better versus the world? Well, first of all, it's game by game case, right? Case by case, game by game basis. For a lot of the older legacy titles where maybe we have previously perceived ourselves as maybe a lower threat, I think maybe that gap wasn't. Maybe I still think there is a gap. But maybe the gap isn't as big as we thought it was, you know, or maybe that gap has shrunk a little bit. Maybe it's not as big as we once perceived it to be, for sure. There's a lot of factors, though. For sure, streaming and more video has helped. The way we break these games down now is so much faster and so much more just rapid, like light speed, than it was in previous era.
Right.
For sure. Also, obviously, sponsorship in the Western FGC is a lot more prominent than it is in the East, giving a lot more players more opportunities to be able to, I think, get that travel, get that experience. And the other thing is, too, man, a lot of people don't talk about this, but you said, like, a lot of them have success on the home turf. Of course. Yeah, of course you're going to.
Yeah.
That's easy. But I will say this, there's a very short list of people that come over here and do that well. Yeah, I will say that. It does happen. When it happens, it's very impressive, right? I gotta give props to, we rag on him. He says a lot of stupid ass shit, but Chris T came out here last year. He got top 4 at 2 years ago at a CPT event when he came out here. That doesn't happen that often.
Right. Yeah. No.
Just as an example, it's always harder to do to perform that well on the road, especially like look at Evo Japan, right? I feel like not that many people traveled out for it this year, but certainly last year, a lot of people came out for it. It's rough, man. It's rough when you're competing in against your body, against jet lag. You're in unfamiliar territory. There's just like a bunch of people speaking tongues behind you. You don't. It's different.
Yeah,
different. But I think overall, play level wise, for some games, it feels like the margins have shrunk. For a few titles, I would say it feels like the margins are actually pretty close to each other in terms of play level and regions. Right, like Dragon Ball, it feels like the levels are a little bit compact, in my opinion. Maybe slightly more so than other games in the past. Guilty Gear, games like Guilty Gear, games like Third Strike, where traditionally we perceive them as just like, oh, this is Japan's game, right? For the past few years, we've seen just like glass ceilings and those games just shattered. Also getting third place over Nage at Evo this year. That's crazy. That's insane. Batshit insane. Even Third Strike, they had a 400 team make top 8 this year. And then in co-op.
Oh, that's
maybe some of those gaps aren't as much as you thought. Right?
Yeah, the reason why I brought that question up is it was actually brought up to me, I think, a couple podcasts ago. Somebody they didn't really say American FGC or Western FGC. They more so brought up the state of how come Japan really, with Street Fighter, not with any other game, but mostly that title alone. With Street Fighter, it seemed that we did okay on home turf. The West did when we went to Canada Cup. We played here at Combo Breaker. We did okay. But when it came to the big ones, Capcom Cup, Evo, the West kind of struggles against the East with Street Fighter 4. But with Street Fighter 5, it's somewhat of a different narrative. It seems that the gap has been, it's a bit closer, the competition at least. Not to say that it wasn't close to Street Fighter 4, but as far as wins, I believe Luffy was the only one to win in Street Fighter 4, and the rest was either Japan or Korea. And with Street Fighter 5, you saw, obviously, Knuckle do a lot of success. I forget, man, I'm sorry, I'm blanking on his name. Who's the Bison player, the one Capcom Cup?
Problem X.
Yeah, Problem X.
There's a few reasons. Like I said, you have to go game by game.
Mm-hmm.
In the case of Street Fighter 4 and Street Fighter 5, I think a big difference there, and it should be obvious, is Street Fighter 4 was arcade-based. Street Fighter 5 is not.
Right.
I think that's something that played a huge role, and I'll tell you why. When you had arcade locations where you could play that game all over Japan like that, especially near train stations, the way the arcade life fits into your daily life as a Japanese individual, especially if you play games, is seamless. You don't really go home and play games like that in most cases. But if you want to play, on a little bit before your train ride home, you just go to the arcade. It's right there, right by the train station. Just go and drop coins, right?
Yeah.
That way, and what that cultivates is a culture where everybody is just kind of just playing the game. Everybody plays. So a lot of people are just playing the game all over the country. Street Fighter 5 comes out. First of all, I'm pretty sure a lot of people in California had the game months before anybody else. Second, when that game was console-based, couldn't play it in arcade. Couldn't play it in arcades, and that made it difficult there are not a lot of good offline venues in Tokyo. Proper time here and space here is very expensive. It's difficult for a lot of gaming groups to be able to provide on that same level compared to like an arcade, right? Where every day these people are getting it in. Now it has to be like once a week we meet up off. Or that culture of you coming over to my house and playing until the morning, that doesn't really exist.
Right.
It might exist amongst like close friends. Maybe it's a lot of the top gameplay. Yeah, it exists among the top because they all know each other, right? But that's different than going into an arcade and literally being able to play anybody where everybody is gunning. Right? That's a different environment. And then there was some drama that happened with that as well, where what you saw was the rise of the game bars in Japan, where provided offline venues for people to be able to play and grind like that. But then now some of them got shut down. It took them a while to adjust to, I think, how to play this game and how to grind it compared to how they used to. We'll see how that changes when the arcade version for Street Fighter 5 comes, but in general, it took them, I think, a long time to adapt, whereas for the West, they didn't really have to. And nothing changed, really, for them.
Yeah, no, that is true. That is a great point. I guess I didn't think about that.
That's something that, for that game, I think, going from 4 to 5, if you make that comparison, it's something that it definitely played a role. Definitely. I'm telling you, it certainly did.
Yeah, no, absolutely. The thing is, living here in the States, I always forget about like arcade culture because like it's not really existent anymore. It's
regionalized. Like you don't see it. It doesn't exist where you live, so it doesn't exist, right? But even though it's in decline, it's still pretty important here.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, KSB is a tournament in Osaka that we have every year. It runs Guilty Gear. Pretty big Guilty Gear. You go there, you run the tournament. There's tons of casual setup. Doesn't cost anything to play. There's no players there. after this. Why? They're all in the arcade across the street. Would rather drop money for the play of the game in the arcade. Arcade culture is still a thing here. So whereas before, like for Street Fighter 4, where you had people playing, grinding daily in all over the country, now for Street Fighter 5, it becomes, mostly just Tokyo-based area players. They meet up a few times a week. Some guys in Osaka wanted to play it. Some guys didn't. They still wanted to play SF4 in the arcade. And in most other regions, there's no offline gathering place, so they're all limited to net play. Mm-hmm. It's a little bit different. Not quite the same. That's one big contributing factor that I think played a role, in my opinion. But that's neither here nor there, man. I mean, in general, the North American scene, that's something that I think was a big factor that played in.
No, that makes absolute sense. The fact that we weren't grinding the way Japan was, so now that they kind of have to find, or maybe they transitioned to a new way of grinding the game, something that we perhaps were doing back in the Street Fighter 4 era. So that makes a lot of sense. That's pretty much all I had for my questions. The last one comes from shoutouts to H-Rod and Alexine. They're two brothers in Luxembourg, actually. They listen to the podcast, and they actually run their own little FGC local. They're trying to level up their scene over there, and I know they're big on King of Fighters. They're KOF fanatics. But this question actually comes from H-Rod, and he asks, what do you think of guest characters?
I think there's ways they can be done well. There's ways that they can be done tastefully. There's ways that they can be done awkwardly. There are definitely some examples of both if you look across multiple games. In general, I think they're hype. They're usually pretty cool to bring in people that might not... They're easy to get excited about, man, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
It depends on how well they're executed. I think a lot of Tekken faithful or core Tekken players do not like Akuma. They do not like Geese because of the way meter works in those games. Mm-hmm. But as an outsider looking in and as somebody who just plays the game, I'm like, shit, man. Though they're executed so well in this game. They're executed so well. They add a cool little flavor. If you've ever played, why did these characters look better in a game that they look better in Tekken than they do in their own games? It doesn't make any goddamn sense. I like them. I like them a lot, but they have to be done well. They have to be done tastefully. On the other side, Noctis is just garbage. I hate looking at him. I like to play him because he's got a lot of range. But yeah, I picked him up recently actually, but I despise him. I hate everything about him.
You're not alone. You're not alone there.
I also thought one of the Battletoads in KI was a good one. Ram was kind of awkward.
Yeah.
Mortal Kombat. Some are good, some are bad. Some are alright. Alien, I thought was kind of. It might have been hype, but it was kind of weird at the same time.
Well, they have Jason and Predator and everybody seems.
Jason, I like that. I wish. I'm mad Jason and Freddy weren't in the same game. Mm-hmm. It wrote itself. I was like, surely they have to bring Freddy back, but it can be done well. It just if it's done tastefully, I like it a lot. But technically Akatsuki is a guest character, right? I like him.
Yeah. There's cross tag battle. That's basically all. I mean, from what I understand, it's called BlazBlue. It's technically supposed to be a BlazBlue game, right? But it's taken from different franchises. So
to be honest with you, that's a mistake that they made with the marketing of the game. I think they should just call it something different because it's not BlazBlue. It's the problem. It's not a BlazBlue game. It's not at all. That's something that they probably should have done a better job of naming the game. Yeah. They just called it Arc System Works Tag Battle or something like that. Something like that would have been good, right? But that's a mistake that they made on their part, in my opinion.
Yeah. But to their credit, the one thing I did like is the Ruby characters. I actually think the Ruby characters are kind of cool. I only played Yang a little bit back when I did play the game, but I thought she was executed fairly well. So
yeah, most people seem happy. I'll tell you what, man, it's hard for me to respect it just because they spell Ruby with a W. I don't get that.
I called it RWBY the first time. People got triggered.
I selectively ignore that. But it seems like most people enjoy them, right? They seem pretty well done.
Yeah.
You can look across multiple games throughout the years. They're fun, dude. They're fun. Mm-hmm. Like, what do you want? If they're done well, if they're good and they fit, they're usually really fun.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
I mean, you got the guy from The Witcher and Soul Calibur.
Gerald?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess he fits. I don't know. That one, he fits, I guess, right?
Yeah.
do you know about The Witcher? Do you know about that?
I watched a buddy of mine play it a little bit, but I don't know much.
Yeah, same thing. I know that there's a redheaded lady and she's very attractive at some point in the game. I don't know much more outside of that, but anyway, I guess it's cool. Yeah, like in the near 2B, right?
Oh,
she's pretty well done. Mm-hmm. She's pretty well done, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So yeah, I mean, I agree. If it's done well and if they take actually good care of the guest character and they manage to implement it in the game without like, I guess, taking away too much from.
Or I guess the usual issue is like they'll add a guest character and the guest character disrupts like not the balance, but like they act awkwardly in the game in a way that's like not. What's an example?
I mean, I don't know. I know Soul Calibur had it. Didn't they have like Darth Vader or who was it? Kratos.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay. Yeah. That's a really good example. Yeah. Cause oh man, hold on. Yeah, that Soul Calibur. When Yoda came out.
Oh man.
Yoda was unable to be thrown. You couldn't throw him.
Mm-hmm.
Yoda could not throw himself. You could play a mirror match and you couldn't throw each other. Yeah, stuff like that. Like that's just incredibly awkward. It's just bad, right? Like it's not good. Nobody likes that. But that's kind of what I'm talking about, right? There's a big difference between that and I think the way listen, there's an obvious huge gulf of difference between the way like that was done and then compared to like even Soul Calibur 6, the way they did guest characters there, but certainly compared to like Geese and Akuma in Tekken 7. Geese and Akuma in Tekken 7 is hype as shit. It almost Noctis didn't even do anything wrong, but those two are so hype to me.
Yeah.
That I don't like Noctis. That's the thing. But again, like even despite the way that they perform in the gameplay, right? A lot of Tekken loyalists they don't like the way the meter. They're not used to looking at meter like that. They don't like having that in the game, right? Because it's so different. It's so awkward compared to like other cast members. But I think it's tastefully executed. Mine.
I'm getting used to it. I at the beginning, I mean, you're right. As somebody that's like plays Tekken and is used to not messing around with meter at all, I didn't like it in the beginning, but yeah, it's awkward. I'm warming up to it. So, all right, man, that's basically all I had. I really appreciate your time. I don't know how long we've been going, but we're going for quite a while.
No, it's whatever, man. Yeah, I'm always down to talk shop, man. I like probably more than I care to admit, fighting games have taken over my life. So it's cool to sit down and just talk shop.
Yeah, you're not alone, man. I feel the same way, especially for the last maybe like 5 or 6 years. I've been really invested my time in fighting games, so it's fun. It's fun to do stuff like this. Yeah, I appreciate it again. Everybody listening, thank you very much. I don't know when the next podcast is going to be, but until next time, peace.